Okay, so let's start with a pretty wild idea. Have you ever thought that maybe worship isn't just something we do, as humans? What if it's more like a universal language? Something spoken by literally everything, from a distant galaxy all the way down to a tiny seed. We're about to dive into this really profound concept, that the entire universe is in this constant state of worship. And honestly, getting your head around this could totally change the way you see your own life.
So this is the idea that really kicks everything off. It's saying that everything is constantly glorifying its creator. It's not just sitting there, it's an active, ongoing praise. But for me, the part that really grabs you is that last line, but you do not understand their exalting. It's like, whoa. It sets up this amazing mystery that we're going to try to unpack.
Which, immediately makes you wonder, right? How does a galaxy, or a tree, or a planet worship? It's easy enough to picture a person praying. We know what that looks like. But a planet, a whole galaxy? They don't have consciousness or free will, at least not in the way we understand it. So, what in the world does that exalting actually look like for them?
All right, so to get to the bottom of that, we have to first look at the rest of creation, how everything else operates. And the whole concept is called perfect obedience, which is it's a really beautiful way to think about it.
And here's the key. This is the real aha moment. For everything else in nature, worship is its function. Its praise is just perfectly doing the thing it was created to do. You can think of it like a format or a signature that the Creator has stamped into every single thing. And for that thing to follow its signature without ever deviating, that is its worship.
Think about it. The sun doesn't just decide to take a Tuesday off, right? A planet doesn't get bored and wander out of its orbit. And an apple seed, well, it's always going to grow into an apple tree. It literally has no choice. It can't become a pear tree. It just fulfills its signature with 100% obedience. And get this, from the exact same soil, the same water, the same sun, you get all these different fruits, each with its own unique taste, its own color, its own smell. That perfect, unbreakable consistency, that is their worship.
Okay, so if the rest of creation is locked into this perfect, pre-programmed worship, what about us? Where do we humans fit into this picture? What makes us so different? Well, it all comes down to one thing: choice.
And this is the huge contrast right here. On one hand, you have creation, which operates on that set format we talked about. The result, 100% obedience. But then there's us, humanity. We were given a totally different tool set: free will, reason, a conscience. We don't have that preset programming. And that means our whole existence isn't about automatic obedience. It's about a constant, moment-to-moment choice.
So if we're not pre-programmed, that's the big question, isn't it? How are we supposed to worship? How do we find our own signature to follow? Well, the path forward is laid out through two different, but totally connected, forms of worship.
Okay, let's break them down. First, you've got formal worship. This is the stuff a lot of us might think of first. The rituals like prayer, fasting, things that have a set form, a set time, a set place. But then, and this is huge, there's the second kind, behavioral worship. And this is basically any moral action you can think of. Being honest, showing compassion, standing for justice, being kind, as long as it's done with a conscious intention. And when you look at it that way, it completely transforms your everyday life into a potential act of worship.
And this right here is the critical link between the two. Those formal rituals, they're not just for show. They're not just things you do to check a box. Their entire purpose, their whole reason for being, is to transform your character, to actually produce morality. The idea is, if your prayers aren't making you a more just or a more compassionate person, then you've kind of missed the whole point.
Okay, so this all leads to the ultimate goal, the end game of all worship, both the formal kind and the behavioral kind. It's a concept called Takwa. So let's really dig into what that means.
So at its core, Takwa is the state of being deeply conscious of God, of having this heightened sense of responsibility and moral awareness. But honestly, the best way to think about it is as a spiritual immune system. It's a fantastic analogy. Just like your body's immune system fights off viruses and keeps you healthy, Takwa is meant to protect your soul.
So how does this immune system work? Well, first, it builds up this deep, constant awareness of your actions and what they lead to. Then, that awareness starts to create an automatic moral reflex, like an instinct that just kicks in and makes you turn away from doing the wrong thing. And the end result of all this? Your soul is shielded from what you could call spiritual viruses, things like injustice, lying, cruelty, all that toxic stuff.
And this is what ties it all back together. The ultimate point of prayer, the whole reason for fasting, the goal of giving charity, the wisdom behind pilgrimage, it all points to the exact same thing: building and strengthening the spiritual immune system, this state of takwa.
So, what does this all mean for you and me? Practically, how do we actually take this idea and bring it into our lives? Well, it all comes down to completely reframing how we look at our entire existence.
The real goal, then, is to stop seeing worship as just a few things you do on certain days or at certain times. It's about elevating every single moral action, every time you choose to be honest, every act of kindness, every decision you make for justice, and turning it into a conscious act of worship. And you do that simply by keeping God in mind while you're doing it. When that happens, your entire life becomes the language you use to praise.
And that leaves us with a really big, personal question to think about. This isn't just some abstract theory. It's a direct challenge to how we see the world. Who do you understand the Lord of all worlds to be? Who is the source of all this incredible order and purpose? And maybe more importantly, how does your answer to that question shape the choices you make every day?
And that brings us to this final, incredibly powerful declaration. It really sums up this entire worldview. The idea that it's not just our prayers, not just our rituals, but our work, our actions, our living, and even our dying can all be united under a single profound purpose. All of it, offered up to the creator of a universe that is, right now, already singing in constant praise.